Is there a shout outside?
Yeah, so
Okay.
ready, Fiona?
Ladies, gentle beings, and others, welcome to the Armadacon, whatever it is, turkey readings. Yay!
Tuppence to start.
I'll have that. I'll have anything.
I heard that about you, but I wasn't spreading the rumours. The title of this book instantly appealed to me when I saw it, because it's not one of those things you come across very often, and I think it will appeal to certain people in the audience when I announce it. It's based on The Invaders, which was an old American TV series, which wasn't very good. And it shows you, it shows you the hero against the other computers. And it's called The Night of the Trilobites.
Are they giant trilobites?
I don't know. I'll read the
creatures. Well, picture of a trilobites must be very.
The Night of the Trilobites. It was in Llanwedyn, a remote Welsh mining village, that the strange, the odd, and curious things began to happen. The electricity consumption in a community of 810 people suddenly leapt to enormous proportions. And no one could discover who or what was using it. Well, you know, if you're a trilobite, you need a lot of work on pedicures.
Does that say that in the book?
No, I'm just general
Sort of
knowledge.
asking the question, since a trilobite's involved and electricity goes up, what the hell are they doing with it?
It's nothing to do with a cannabis farm.
David Vincent, that's our hero, believe it or not, always watchful and alert, recognised the macabre incidents around the old mining shaft that there were signs of the invaders. As opposed to trilobites were issued. And once again, he had to fight the powerful aliens who were planning to subdue the Earth. No idea what trilobites mean. I suppose you can find trilobites down an old mine shaft.
That's natural.
No, you won't find trilobites down an old mine shaft.
We're talking the prehistoric horseshoe crab-looking things.
Sort of. They're like gigantic woodlice. Some of them got very, very big and rather aggressive.
In actual fact, I can think of a woodlouse, an aquatic one.
In fact, oddly enough, there's somebody sat in this room with at least one ornamental trilobite.
Oh, yeah. Forget the wings, but...
Well, the wings are very
What the hell is a trilobite doing on a badge?
existing
Speciest!
50p to read something out of the book.
You beat me to it.
Oh, that sounds like a good chapter. Chapter 8, A Moment of Truth. The room was 10 feet long, and 10 feet wide, and 10 feet high. A perfect cube, entirely based on walls, ceiling, and floor, with glaring white tiles. The shadowless light which filled it came from some undisclosed source, and apart from a shallow gutter leading to the drain in the foot of one wall and a matching row of water jets in the ceiling above, it was totally bare. There was no window, no ornamentation, no furniture to break the monotony. Even the sliding door through which Verlac had entered was indistinguishable from the rest of the room, the tiles once it had closed. Backed against the opposite wall, Bronwyn
Good God.
Willem.
Me don't know.
Sorry. Thank you.
Would anyone like to light up a bit?
Yeah, had never felt so naked in her life. Bronwyn. What do you hear?
Hey!
Oh,
Yay!
Yay!
I'll see you now.
Had never felt so naked in all of her life. Involuntarily, she shivered, although the towels against which her bare shoulders and buttocks were pressed were quite warm. She had no idea how she came to be there. She remembered a man approaching the car while she was waiting for the American to arrive. That's our hero, by the way. And the next thing she knew, she was alone and nude in this claustrophobic cell. I cannot imagine, Miss Willem, why you manifest such signs of outrage and fear and even shame, he remarked. That's the guy. Observing dispassionately the quivering contours of the girl's splendid body. Electroscopic examination before you regained consciousness showed that you know something of our existence and aims. So surely you must realize that the sight of an unclothed human female has no more effect on us than of a clothed one. The system of reproduction on our planet is completely different.
50 pence to stop, because this piece has got no trilobites in it.
It's not my fault. It says no to the trilobites.
Well, so far we've not had any trilobites.
50p, carry on.
I wish I was even.
I only got handed this book like 5 minutes ago. So.
We got 50p to 50p, so we're even.
10p to carry on.
Right.
Come on, be a bit more.
Come on, let's have a bit more. Let's suffer.
some more.
Let's Nope, that's why you're here to suffer.
Shower jets too.
Well, who knows?
We found a word.
Hooray!
Halfway 76. Oh dear. Our hero's obviously gone to some expert person. And this is the expert bloke talking. My dear fellow, now if only you'd give up this insistence on arthropods. I think he means arthropods. Arthropods.
Not an Irish name, Arthur Rose Paul.
And used in all graptolite systems. I could tell you within a few thousand years the exact age of the beds. There are 16 graptolite zones, as I'm sure you know, and well, dozens of subzones. Just in principle, Vincent urged, as generality. Well, yes, of course. Since this part of Wales was land in both Silurian and Devonian times, there are of course no sedimentaries laid down between the Ordovician and Carboniferous series. So if there are trilobites in your sample, you really should see a specialist about this. Must be a thing. Your mind's out like a gutter.
So that's why I call constipation. Got trilobites in your sample.
Depends which. No, that's just not right.
No, that's not.
Then it's bound to be Ordovician. If, as you say, the facies exhibit interdigital alteration of shales with shelly limestone, then it's probably a continuation of the Axial Paradox series from further north.
20p to stop, the Bex is wearing off.
Any?
Oh, 50p to carry on.
Anybody else wants to suffer like Barry?
I want to know more about the trilobites.
Oh, okay. Carry on.
Ashgill Paradox series from further north. A synclinal basin beneath the Carboniferous. Quite. Now, these trilobites, on the other hand, if it was, you should also get basic pillow lavas at the bottom, because extruded volcanism started here in Armadacon. You didn't notice if there were any rhyolites and andesites among the sedimentaries? No, I don't think you would have. As any fool knows. Approximately what size would they have been? But then again, it could have been a Cambrian succession that you saw, for the Ordovician doesn't invariably rest unconformably on the earlier rocks. As any fool knows. And the trilobites were already fairly numerous in Cambrian times. Indeed, they extend throughout the Paleozoic, except for that limestone. But there simply weren't any in South Wales in Cambrian times, my dear fellow.
This is not the invaders, this is Time Team. I've been swapping the colours around.
The water was always too muddy to support the organisms which form limestone. Bollocks! That is absolute bollocks. I'm quite prepared to believe it, but if you could tell me, mind you, mind you, if it weren't for that, it would be difficult to say on what you've told me whether or not your cavern was Cambrian or Ordovician. The ecology of the earlier stones is fairly uniform in just the same way. Quartzite above shales above limestone repeated. Typical history of the marine transgressional consolidate. I'm sure it is.
Yeah, hang on a minute. This is getting confusing. You've got this nude bint in a cube, and you've got a Time Team script. Is this the same book?
Time Team don't do paleontology. This is Paleontology 101.
Yeah, well, if you're digging up the back garden and you find a trilobite.
Paleontology 101.
Yeah, meanwhile, back at the ranch, Blodwin's freezing to death in this cube.
Shouldn't she be being eaten out of the cube?
Well, so far we've been talking about trilobites, but no trilobites have actually done anything.
Or even waved a feeler.
We're supposed to be knighted the trilobites, and all we've had is a nude bit with a Time Team script.
Have they even proved it's not Paleontology 101?
Have you paid for your rant, Barry?
All right, it's 50p.
At least it's
I think it's good value for money.
The trilobites. Ah, yes, the trilobites. If, as on the whole, I think likely, your facies are a continuation of the Ashgill Paradox series, then they would be mainly isopygeous forms. Cephas and
Say that 3 times, it's 50p.
Isopygeous. Cephas and Ogea, certainly. Perhaps Triniculus and Angelina Jolie?
Angelina Jolie? Is Bronwyn played by Angelina Jolie in this cube?
Starfish. Don't forget to Starfish.
Probably. But trilobites don't actually have buttocks per se.
It's using the wrong word then.
It's using a lot of wrong words. This word, I don't think it means what you think it means. About how big would they have been? They would probably have been equipped with articulated. How big were they? How big? Size is everything. Yeah. You mean what size? Actual dimensions?
Yeah.
That was rather the idea. Well, it varies, you know. Doubtless, you could nevertheless hazard a generalization, could you not? As to the order of size, I mean. State, you know, bigger than a bread box. It doesn't actually say that. Between which extremes they might fall. A man of your experience. Well, if you were to put it that way, my dear chap, shall we say that I would not expect to find one less than 4 centimetres long, or more than 4 inches.
It's disappointing, that is.
But you should have seen the one that got away.
Yes. How the hell do these tiny little trilobites
Wait for
put
it.
Bronwyn in a queue?
Wait for it.
Have you actually examined the fossils in question in this cave of yours? No, Vincent said. Not the fossils. But the trilobites that interest me is something like 5 or 6 feet long.
Aha!
And they are alive today.
Oh.
10 feet to carry on.
20 feet stop.
A pound to stop.
Now let's get something else.
21 stop.
Cheers. Yes, it involves a giant mutated man-eating praying mantis that are controlled by complete loony. Yeah, right.
As opposed to the ones controlled by the utterly sane.
Indeed. The image of revenge lay just outside his grasp until that fateful day at Mount Hello Island split open and the creatures emerged. Suddenly Dyke was faced with a new and terrifying way to strike back at those who had ripped away his manhood and crippled his body. And as his fearful plan began to work and these monstrous legions of crawling things wreaked their terror, he was faced with a new struggle. Would the blood destroy him before his enemies? Any particular place you'd like me to start? No, good.
Hang on, who wrote this crap?
This looked quite
This is
promising.
Greg
He
Dyke's diary.
sees 2 hindquarters of a puma which he had shot a few days ago. They were in the battery refrigerator, but not yet in the freezer. They would be thawed and ready to meet the mantis's almost insatiable appetite. He ran back upstairs and unwound the rope, working behind the beast's back, so his actions could not be glimpsed by those eerie eyes. He knew he must toss the meat into the snare without letting the insect out. When the opening was wide enough, he flung the 2 slabs of puma close to the mantis's jaws. Then he retightened the net. Instantly, the immense creature was upon the animal flesh, cramming it into his maw with his clawed hands, crushing even the bones, while Dyke watched with proud Dyke watched with proud approval, believing that his handout would satisfy the great green being's hunger pangs for the moment. The thing swung about and met Dyke's gaze with its own, extending its grabbing hands for more, tearing at the ropes that imprisoned it, biting the snare when Dyke did not immediately produce more food. Dyke felt certain that the snare would hold the beast, but he wanted the mantis to depend upon him personally, to respect and appreciate him.
Fat chance.
There were that anyone would. Eventually to follow his orders. He had to train the wild creature to kill and eat 4 men, the 4 who had rendered Dyke less than a man. He brought another load of meat, all he could drag behind him from his galley refrigerator. Then he lugged a 3rd load, and a 4th. At last, the insect sat back on its hideous green feet, its belly distended beyond belief.
Do mantises have feet?
Jaws
No.
finally
They
quiet.
don't
It's
have
not
hands.
hands,
This
presumably
one
it's
does.
not feet.
They don't have hands.
This one does.
Where do you get them from?
Probably nicely fed
John
to
Lewis's
females too.
Little dog. They get everything.
The bulging eyes seemed to look upon Dyke with friendliness, and the head drooped lazily before it bobbed down against the body, resting upon its own feet and stomach, rather than somebody else's. The monster slept. Dyke felt a kinship to the untamed thing.
Perhaps it was because he felt that this was the first time the mantis had ever had its hunger satisfied in full. And Dyke had known countless times what it was to be hungry and have nothing to eat. He remembered that when you hungered enough, nothing was of importance except food. It could be that when this mantis awoke, it would be inclined to feel companionable toward the man who had filled its belly with meat.
Oh, I don't know.
That's the man.
Of course, Dyke could not take that chance. He would take the snared beast to the mainland and into the jungle by dangling meat ahead of it. He had a shack there with food to spare, where he often spent a few nights when he was tired of the isle. If the proffered food did not make this beast his friend, deeply devoted and eager to serve him, then he would have to try to make himself inedible in another way.
Tomato sauce smeared all over it.
We have 50p to stop.
Deviation.
We have 50p to stop.
I don't want to hear any more myself.
Another 50 to start. The mantis could actually be.
Oh,
Right, we're going to have some bidding to start this book. This is the lesbian vampire.
Oh.
Yay.
Oh!
I thought that book was destroyed.
No,
John August, Flesh and Blood.
no.
Pound to start.
No. I never burn books or destroy books.
Any advance on a pound to start?
£2 not to start.
£2 to start.
So that's
It is
3
even.
to 2.
I'm saying nothing.
You know you want to, Barry.
I'm staying well out of this.
So that's £3 to start, 2 to stop.
So,
Start?
start.
Right. I shall randomly open the page with sticky bits on. I should have said that. Get the read. Sorry.
Major fail.
That's a sign that says, why me?
That joke's worth 50p.
I better get started. Alright, let's go to the start. Yeah.
Okay, here we go then.
Oh, start with the page before I do so. Leah thought of the things she had said, and a little rush of heat swept down through her belly and to her panties. The thought of being bound naked before the woman had made her chest tight. Her nipples hardened once, transmitting little quivers of pleasure from her breasts as she sweat. As they moved to the tight confines of a bra post, she disliked the arrogant woman making well, maybe a little discipline was what the district needs, Scott suggested without conviction. It seemed to have done wonders for ye. Leah frowned uncertainly. Sarah had certainly become far more tight-lipped since her meeting with McBenley. She wasn't her usual bouncy self, and her eyes looked haunted, since there had been no announcement that she had not wanted to embarrass the girl by telling her she had overheard the transfer ultimatum. She hadn't really been able to discuss it with her. The few times she had tried to make an offer of a chance for Sarah to talk to her, the girl had abruptly shirked away. Leah struggled dismissively, looking out the window at the passing traffic. She had her own problems, after all, and McBenley was the least of them. It had almost been a week now since she had interviewed Morales. During the day, her mind was filled with erotic flights of fancy involving herself and almost anyone she knew. It was bizarre. She kept fantasizing about people, both men and women, about police colleagues she'd known for years, people who had lived in her building, witnesses she'd spoken to. Bloody hell, she gets around. Schoolgirls she'd passed with on the street, and even that bitch
How to stop?
It is.
At the moment, it's about to stop.
Pound to stop.
We have £2 to stop.
Is it in favour of continue?
No, I think we've had the best gag at the opening. I don't think you're going to top that in a hurry.
Go to the next
Well,
one.
actually, if you did go on to the next paragraph, the end of this paragraph is pretty.
Oh, can we have the end of the paragraph?
Please carry on, Ian.
Sixpence.
So what we got?
Sixpence for the end of the paragraph. And then stop.
Oh, I'll shove in 50p as well.
Okay.
We're still about 50p short, I think.
Pound.
Okay. Do you hear the end of the paragraph?
Yes, this is. I don't mean. It's only a small bit. So, and so, she kept fantasising about the people, both men and women, about police colleagues, blah, 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 who lived in the building, witnesses she'd spoken to, schoolgirls who passed by the street, and even that bitch McBenry, for that matter, and Sarah and Scott, and they weren't idle thoughts either, but brooding fantasies that made her breast rise and fall more rapidly as her breathing quickened, made her double muscles clench and her pussy warm and moist.
Stopping there.
That's the end of the paragraph. Do you want to carry on?
No.
Quality square of action, that.
Yeah, so we'll stick with it.
Bunduki and Dawn, an action-packed series featuring Bunduki,
Oh,
fearless
no.
master of the jungle. I will be including footnotes.
Oh, thank God for that.
There will be a test later.
Well, it's a trial already.
By birth and upbringing, even more than Bunduki, Dawn was ideally suited to the primitive environment of the Zilican, of Zilican, and the part she was playing in their quest for food. Although she was not directly descended from Lord Greystoke. Being unable to care for his younger brother adequately after the death of their parents, Captain Hugh Bulldog Drummond accepted Lord and Lady Greystoke's suggestion that they adopt John. As a result, the boy became known as Drummond Clayton, and later being the Greystokes family name. The latter being the Greystokes family name. Her paternal grandparents, Sir John and Lady Miriam Drummond Clayton, had acquired a knowledge of jungle survival second only to his. How this came about is told in The Son of Tarzan by Edgar Rice Burroughs. However, at Lord Greystoke's request, Edgar Rice Burroughs did not reveal John Drummond Clayton's true identity in this book. Permission having been granted, the situation has been clarified by fictional genealogist Philip Posey Farmer in his biographical work Tarzan Alive.
Oh, Tarzan copyright expired.
In addition, as the exploits of Sir John's elder brother, Captain Hugh Bulldog Drummond, the history of Captain Hugh Bulldog Drummond is recorded in the books of H.C. Sapper Melville and Gerald Fairley. They were instructed to avoid making any reference to the captain's younger brother so that his enemies should not know of the boy's existence. She sprang from a stock noted for a love of adventure and great courage in the face of personal danger. That had certainly been the case for their parents, Armand, John and Hazel Drummond Clayton. They had been espionage agents in German-occupied Europe through much of World War II, doing useful work and living constantly under the shadow of a very painful death if they had been captured. Until Dawn was transported to Zilican, circumstances had never required her to display her hereditary courage. Sorry, I had to move the note there. For all that, she had proved since her arrival that she had been well prepared mentally and physically to do so when the need for it had arisen. Always something of a tomboy as a child, Dawn had insisted upon duplicating the lessons in self-defense and weapon handling that her, at the time, almost inseparable companion Bunduki had been receiving. What was more, she had gained considerable proficiency in them. Even during her formal and conventional education, she had contrived to continue practicing what she had taught. In addition, whilst attending Rodin,
Now stop.
£3 to stop. Yeah. Come on.
It's all footnotes and no story.
Just read the footnotes.
Yeah.
A pound for, I don't mind if we stop, but can we have just one last footnote, please? A pound for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Add
for a footnote.
Although Armand John Clayton and his wife had served in the same resistance group as Amelia Blenkinsop, NABFC, Oxon, on member HOCA, Holloway Old Girls Association.
Is that Holloway Prison Girls Association?
Some of whom's exploits are recorded in Blonde Genius by J.T. Edson. Their family background did not meet with the specialist requirements for Dawn to attend Blenkinsop's Academy for the Daughters of Gentlefolk.
Interesting point of information. Copies of Blonde Genius, when available, go on the internet at about 50 quid.
Really?
And I have one.
You would.
You have actually read some of it out to us on the
Yes.
past. I've been trying to forget it, but you have.
Yes, a pound to stop is cheaper than therapy.
Oh, go for UFO 517, Bronfane. Bronfane.
Oh.
Also known as Cal Toro, also known as the Reverend Lionel Vanvoort. An actual Badger book with his real name on it.
Yes.
These are extremely rare.
And this one has the gentleman's autograph in it. So.
£2 not to read it.
So that's a signal to say, I'm so sorry, Lionel.
Probably.
Who's read it? Who's read it?
Who is really?
Who's really
So if you want to hear it,
Okay, 50p's carry on.
Pound to carry on.
we need 50p more to
Pound
start.
to carry on.
Pound carry on.
Okay.
Cleared out now. Can't take much more.
Oh, have some random 5p's.
Oh, thank you.
Before we even open the book, there has just been pointed out to us by a technical expert here. I should read what's on the front. UFO 519, Ron Fane. If they were not extraterrestrial, from whence they came? Whence did they come? Excuse me.
He's paid by the word, so you know.
Right. Oh, this is good. Page 93, and I think that would be from chapter whatever. I thought they didn't seem familiar, replied Val. These must be the stars of the southern hemisphere. We must be close to the equator. I'm sure we're close to the equator, said Elspeth. Val looked at the sky and the stars again. My astronomy isn't as good as it should be, he said softly, but I'll be prepared to take a bet on these being the terrestrial constellations. Elspeth sighed with relief. So at least we've got the right planet, she commented.
That's good.
GPS is bugging again.
We should return them to Albuquerque.
Yes. Zelby hasn't let us down that far, agreed Val. Stars don't change much, said Lenoir. We could still be 1,000 years in the past, or more can come from Val. Please don't, Elspeth shivered a little despite the warmth of the breeze. This is the sort of thing that usually only happens to me in dreams, said Val with a grin. Shipwrecked on a desert island with 2 women. He licked his lips and gave a low wolf howl. They walked around the beach. It was how they originally suspected a small coral island about 2 square miles in extent. They returned to the starting point as the moon came up low on the horizon and turned the island into a paradise of silver light. The sea became a vast moving poem of silver white. The waves played marine tennis with the moonbeams.
Oh, that's rough.
20p to hear that particular metaphor again.
You don't write them like that
Oh,
anymore.
The sea became a vast moving poem of silver white. The waves played marine tennis with the moonbeams. Dot, dot, dot.
You get paid for punctuation.
Val Noir's keen, nocturnally penetrating eyes that spotted the light. She pointed far out to the sea, taking Val's hand as she did so. Look, darling, look there. What is it? I'm not sure. His keen grey eyes gazed out steadily across the moonlit waters. I think it's a boat, said Elspeth. A boat with a light at the front.
Bloody hell, that's unusual. But
Val tried hard to remember a story he'd once read. No, not read, started to read. A story that began with the crew of a rather superstitious seaman in the old days of sail, sighting weird lights that turned out to be on closer inspection to be a corpse candle.
Oh, another one of Lionel's books.
Yes.
Plugging another book in his own book.
I'm quickly disturbed. I've just been asked to say that by the hotel that the food that's out in the corridor is not Armadacon food.
Right.
It's Wales and West Utilities. I know they're digging up our roads, but they pay for it. But apparently some people have been walking past and going,
Even when they finish with it.
we'll see that afterwards.
Some yesterday.
Yes, I saw. Thank you very much, sorry.
This light had a yellower gleam than any electric illumination had offered, and it seemed even at the distance to be flickering. Val wondered whether the yellowness of the illumination was a result of the contrast provided by the silvery flakes of moonlight and the almost greeny white fluorescence of the myriads of tiny sea creatures, and the steersman continued looking out towards it. Definitely a boat, claimed Lenoir's lad. Val turned his head a little and listened. Oars, he murmured. Yes, definitely oars. They are rowing too quietly, said Elspeth, but I can hear them too. The adventurous sixth sense warned Val that this might be a very good time in which to take evasive, observing action.
£2 to stop.
Hang on.
Well, shall we? Yeah, I'm not contradicting the stop, but can I have 40p to hear that evasive observing action again? It's got to
The adventurous sixth sense warned Val that this might be a very good time in which to take evasive, observing action.
Evasive observing action, does that contradict itself somewhere?
No, you run away whilst looking over your
So
shoulder.
you're running away backwards?
That's a traditional horror film staple, isn't it?
Well, looking over your shoulder, but just going backwards.
How long have we got left? Can we stop at one?
Quickly sign up.
I have £2 to stop here.